Hi, I wanted to share with you one of the old new stitch patterns that I've rediscovered. And um, anyway, it's a simple idea. Okay, you've seen the ripple or the chevrons or whatever you'd like to call it. Any chevron can be made in any dimensions that you wanted. You could have them going way out and way up. You can make them in any dimension simply because as long as you have an equal number of increases on one end and decreases at the base, then that's what makes your V's at the top and the bottom. That's all you have to do. Just match them up, make sure the math is right. The number of stitches that you have in between, you can pick a random number. I like this particular stitch. It's all threes, and it just makes it easy for me to keep up with. And it happens quickly. I like to watch things happen quickly. The yarn I'm going to be using for this little project just getting started is from Cascade. It's Anthem, their new one, which is Rondo. Check out these colors. Ah, this color is color number 1, which I believe is called Carnival. And oh, this is just so fun. So as always, going to start with this pattern is a multiple of 16. Okay, for the base row. The actual pattern itself is a multiple of 14 stitches. Now I add on my base, on my foundation row, I add 2 extra stitches per repeat for the V, for the depth of the V, so don't get that curl that often you'll see in ripple blankets or chevron blankets, whatever you prefer to call it. And so those extra 2 stitches are down at the base of that V, so it gets rid of that curl effect, so that there's more fabric on the bottom getting started to prevent the curl. So going to use, okay, handy dandy slip knot, our friend. Okay, and this yarn actually calls for a H through J, which is 5 through 6 millimeter. I'm using a 6 millimeter hook, and whenever I do chevron items, I almost always use the largest recommended because I use it for things like afghans, scarves, and with those I want a lot of movement, so I don't want the stitches tight. Okay, so because this is going to be in double crochet, because it's double crochet to begin our foundation row, we're going to chain 3. And remember, we're not doing a foundation chain, we're doing a foundation row. Okay, to do so, let me move this in just a smidge. Okay, so we have our chain of 3, and just like double crochet all the time, yarn over. We're going to go in below 2 strands of thread. Okay, now we have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, come through 1 to make our chain base. Now we do the stitch part, which is a double crochet. Come through 2, come through 2. All right, so that counts as 2 stitches, our original chain of 3, and then our next stitch. So we have 2 stitches so far. And let me get in here, and whenever we go in, what we're going into, because if you pull it up, okay, this is the chain. These are the chains at the base. We're going to go into that chain. Oopsie. Counterclockwise, yarn over, come through, have 3 loops. Go around once to make our chain on the bottom, and then our double crochet. Come through 2 and come through 2. Oopsie. Hard to do through the camera. Okay, yarn over. Go through, pull up 3, come through 1 for the base chain, and then our double crochet stitch. Come through 2, come through 2. Okay, so we're making our chain and our stitches at the same time. For that foundation row, it's going to be a multiple of 16. Oh, I do want to show you one thing because this is awesome. Okay, if you miscount, don't remember if you did the chain or whatever, put your hook through the top of the last, because this is the top, through the last stitch that you made, pull it out, and then just do the whole stitch over again. And then you can count 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 16. Now I'm going to place my marker in the last completed stitch. You don't count the loop because it's not a stitch, it's just a loop. Okay, I'm going to count the last stitch, my 16. And it's easy to count them, it's really easy. 1, 2, 3, if you can hold on to them, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Now the way I normally do it is I'll just do another 16 and then I move the same marker. You can do it however you like. And then if I am wanting a specific number, because I almost always design my own, and so I use and then if I'm doing something like this where I have a multiple of that size, then I'll use a clicker counter, and then how many repeats, and I'll click for how many repeats I have. Okay, so the thing to bear in mind is this is a chevron. Okay, so however big you decide to make your project, remember it's going to be coming like this. So it's not going to be this wide. Each repeat's not going to be this wide. Instead, it's going to be this wide, okay? Because this is a sharp chevron, okay? A lot of them are more like this, but this particular pattern is a sharp chevron. So it's going to have a sharp angle. All right, so do your repeats of 16, your double crochets, as wide as you would like it, and I will meet you back here. Okay, I'm back. Now what I decided to do was I did 160. I did 10 repeats. And let's see, so that's going to be 48. Looks like it's about 56, 58 inches wide right now before putting in the chevron pattern, which is going to make those V's, which is going to use up a lot of that width. Okay, so here's my last stitch. Going to turn it over. Okay, instead of working here, this is actually what we've been working into, was creating that base chain, that foundation chain row. This is the top of our stitches. Okay, so we're going to begin. This is all in double crochet, so we'll chain 3. Now everything for this stitch pattern is done in 3s, okay? Perhaps that'll make it easier for you to remember. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 stitches in the first stitch. That chain 3 counts as a stitch. Yarn over, go in, make our second stitch, double crochet, and our third. 3 stitches in that first stitch. Now we're going to double crochet once in each of the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Let's see this bundle of yarn sneaking up on me. There we go. Now we're going to decrease these next 3 stitches, okay? Decrease is super simple. We're going to turn these 3 stitches into 1. So we go in, yarn over, come through 2. Okay, we just didn't complete the stitch. Move on to the next one. Yarn over, come through 2. Now you're going to have 3 loops. Yarn over, come through 2. Now you have 4. Easy way to remember this is you're decreasing, see, 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then the original stitch that you did before. And then yarn over and come through all 4. All right, so you can see here you turn 3 stitches into 1. This was a stitch before, and there's the top of it. Now you've turned these into 1. Because this is on the foundation, and like I'd said, I like to have some give, okay? We're going to skip these 2. Later on, the repeats, like I said, the repeats after this row are all going to be a 14 stitch repeat. These extra stitches won't be here. Okay, now again, we're going to do 3 stitches down to 1. We're going to do another triple decrease. So you're going to skip these 2. Those are just to add extra material to the finished bottom. Go into the first one, yarn over, come through 2. Yarn over, come through 2. Yarn over, and come through 2. And then we have 4 on there, come through all 4 loops. And once again, we've turned 3 stitches into 1. Now, just like this side of the V, we're going to do 3 double crochets in a row over the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. I feel like the owl in old Tootsie Pop commercials. Okay, and so now we've done 3 double crochets and 3 stitches. I want you to see what we have so far. Pardon me. Okay, up here we added 2 stitches by putting 3 in one space. Down here on this side we decreased those additional stitches by turning 3 stitches into 1. Now we're on the other side. And whenever you're going up, once again, we decreased, we turned 3 stitches into 1, then we went up the hillside, and now we took those stitches away. Now we've got to add them back in. That means next we will put 3 stitches, 3 double crochets into that stitch right there. 1, 2, 3. That made our first chevron. Okay, that's our first one. And actually it's really cute. Something I threw together that I thought, and it was just adorable, is just doing a single repeat of this makes an adorable scarf. Okay, now we're going to do the next V, and it begins the same way. 3 into that single crochet, into that single stitch right there. Okay, have 2 of them together right there, because this was the end of the previous V. This is the beginning of the next V. And once again, 3 double crochets over the next 3 stitches. And 3. And then, because we created 2 new stitches here, we have to get rid of 2 stitches. So we're going to do a double decrease, turning 3 stitches into 1. And you just partially work that double crochet. Come through only the first 2 loops, and then pull that through all 4. Okay? Because it's the foundation row, you're going to skip 2 stitches to give some extra material for the bottom so we don't have the curl. So we skip those 2, going to the next. We're going up the other side, so we're again going to do that double decrease. This is the second stitch partial and the third stitch partially worked. And then finish all 3 as one stitch. And then 3 double crochets over the next 3 stitches. And then 3 double crochets in the next stitch to compensate for the two stitches we eliminated here. We have to add them back in now. And 3. Now what you should begin to have is something starting to look like this. Should be set to go, but going to go ahead and I'm going to finish up this row, and I will come back and we'll go over the stitches, the pattern as the 14 stitch repeat. And then I laid it out and I used the table to measure, get an approximate measurement of the width, and looks like over 150 stitches with this yarn. Looks like which was 10 repeats, or 160 stitches, which was 10 repeats. Right now it's looking like I lost about between 8 and 10 inches. Okay, at the end of the row, we did our 3 stitches in the top of that chain. Going to chain 3 and turn. So, and then one more. Dog doing her job. Hold on. Yep, she was just doing her job. I do apologize if you have dogs and they just got all worked up. Okay, so doing our first 3. Okay, same as always. And then 3 double crochets in the next 3 stitches. 2, 3, and then we're gonna turn these 3 stitches into 1 stitch, and see, this time we don't have the 2 extra stitches in between. Need some more yarn. There we go. And so yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, get the loop, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2, and then pull through all 4, making 1 stitch from those 3, and then immediately do it on the next 3 stitches. Yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And then work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And 3. And then 3 double crochets at the top of the V in that single stitch. Okay, so you should be looking like this, and then continue on with the 14 stitch repeat.